For many, the Last Judgment is a terrifying vision, marked by catastrophes and the final judgment of humanity. Today, we'll reveal how a single chapter turned fear into faith for more than 4,500 people. Get ready for an inspiring journey through words that changed hearts and minds. Ready to discover how one chapter can completely alter our view of the end times. So let's go. This is the revealing chapter that helped 4,500 people not to fear the Last Judgment. Follow us. Imagine a book that has the power to transform humanity's greatest fear into a source of comfort and hope. Yes, we're talking about the Last Judgment, but in a way you've never seen before. Many of us grew up hearing about the Last Judgment as the end of everything, surrounded by fear and judgment. But what if I told you that there is a specific chapter, found in a sacred text, that offers a completely different perspective? This chapter not only changed the way 4,500 people view the Last Judgment, but it also gave them tools to face this idea with peace in their hearts. Today, we explore this eye-opening chapter. Throughout this video, we'll delve into these people's stories, understand the power of the words they read, and discover how you, too, can find that peace. No matter your beliefs or your doubts, there's something valuable here for everyone. So if you've ever felt trepidation when thinking about the end times, or simply love a good story of transformation and hope, this video is especially for you. For centuries, the Last Judgment has been a powerful image in many religious and cultural traditions, a final moment where the eternal destiny of each soul is decided. It may seem like something out of an epic film, doesn't it? Heavens parting, trumpets sounding, and humanity gathered for judgment. This scenario has influenced not only religious beliefs, but also art, literature, and even cinema. But what really sustains this fear? It's uncertainty, the idea of being judged by a greater force, and the eternal consequences that come with that judgment. This image has been a source of anxiety for many over the years. However, as we will see, the interpretation of this concept can vary enormously. And this is where our revealing chapter comes in, transforming fear into something completely different. Imagine discovering a text that not only demystifies but also transforms the notion of the Last Judgment into a message of hope and redemption. Does that sound unimaginable? Because that's exactly what we'll explore today. So stay with us as we dive deeper into this fascinating chapter that has helped thousands see one of humanity's most feared themes in a new light. At the heart of our story today is an extraordinary chapter found in an ancient text that offered a new perspective on the Last Judgment. But what exactly is this chapter? And where did it come from? This chapter is part of a larger work, often studied but rarely understood in its full depth. It was recently rediscovered by scholars seeking to better understand the sacred scriptures. Through a combination of linguistic, historical, and theological analysis, these scholars were able to uncover a message that had been obscured by conventional interpretations for centuries. What they found was an interpretation that challenges the traditional view of fear and punishment. Instead, they revealed a story of hope, renewal, and the promise of a new beginning. This chapter is not just about the end, but about new possibilities. It speaks of a righteous judgment, where mercy and justice meet, offering redemption to all who seek. And it was this revolutionary understanding that changed the lives of thousands of people, helping them to approach the concept of the Last Judgment not with fear, but with positive expectation. Now that we know the origin and meaning of this revelatory chapter, let's explore how it directly impacted those who discovered it and embraced this new vision. After rediscovering the eye-opening chapter we discussed, a wave of change began to spread. But how exactly did this new interpretation begin to impact people's lives? I was always very afraid of what the Last Judgment meant, but this chapter showed me a completely different perspective. Reading those words was like seeing the light at the end of a very dark tunnel. It brought peace to something I only saw as terror. This chapter not only changed the way these people view the end times, but it also transformed their daily actions. With less fear, they began to live with more purpose and hope. And the change didn't stop there. As more people shared their new insights, entire communities began to see the Last Judgment in a new, more positive light. It's incredible to think how the interpretation of a single chapter can create a domino effect, influencing not only individuals but also entire families and communities. Through these conversations, this eye-opening chapter became a tool of unity and a beacon of hope, showing that the end can just be the beginning of something wonderful. And so, what was a source of fear turned into a celebration of life and future possibilities. We will continue exploring how this transformation happened in the next segments. Now, we will hear directly from some of the 4,500 people whose lives were touched by this eye-opening chapter. Each testimony is a window into personal and collective transformation. Before reading this chapter, I lived in fear of what might happen at the end of my days. But now, I feel a calm that I cannot explain. I have learned to trust more in the path of life and in divine justice. I always thought that the Last Judgment was something dark and inevitable. But this text showed me that it can be a time of renewal and hope. It completely changed the way I see the world and my future. This chapter brought us together in a way we didn't expect. We talked about it often, and it helped us understand and respect each other's different perspectives on life and the afterlife. We started a study group to further explore this chapter and other texts. It's amazing how a new interpretation can inspire so many productive discussions and new friendships. As you can see, the influence of this chapter goes beyond the pages of the book. It enters people's homes, conversations, and even life decisions, transforming fear into faith, despair into dialogue, and uncertainty into understanding. These testimonies are just a few examples of how a new perspective on ancient scriptures can enlighten not only the understanding, but also the heart. Let us continue our journey to discover more about this powerful chapter in the next segment. After hearing so many moving stories, you may be curious to know exactly what this chapter says. Let's dive together into the words that transformed so many lives. This chapter is fascinating because it touches on universal themes like judgment, redemption, and the promise of renewal. Let's look at some key passages that have resonated deeply with so many readers. Here, for example, the passage talks about judgment with mercy. This suggests that, rather than just punishment, there is an opportunity for understanding and spiritual growth. Another notable aspect is how the chapter describes renewal after the trial. This is interpreted by many as a sign that the end is not just the ending, but a new beginning, a chance to be reborn in ways that once seemed impossible. When I read about the light after the darkness, I felt real hope for the first time in many years. It felt like the text spoke directly to me, encouraging me to move forward despite my fears. Of course, each reader finds their own meaning in the words, but the power of this chapter lies in its ability to offer new perspectives on concepts that many of us have feared. Just as these passages inspired reflection and change, they continue to offer light and direction for all who seek understanding and peace. In the next topic, we will explore more about how these ideas are being integrated into people's daily lives. Now that we've delved into the chapter's inspiring words, let's understand a little more about its context and theological meaning with help from an expert. Good afternoon. The chapter we are discussing is a fascinating piece of theology that stands out for its unique interpretation of the Last Judgment. Let's explore how it connects and diverges from other, more traditional interpretations. Traditionally, many interpretations focus on the punitive aspect of the Last Judgment. However, this chapter emphasizes redemption and renewal. It proposes that the final judgment is not just an end, but a new beginning for humanity. Here, for example, the text mentions mercy in judgment. This suggests a more understanding and hopeful approach, contrasting with more severe views. This is revolutionary because it opens a dialogue about how we understand divine justice. It is an interpretation that brings comfort and hope, reinforcing that love and mercy are central to the human and spiritual experience. This theological approach not only provides a new way of looking at an old concept, but also inspires communities around the world to re-examine their own beliefs. With this deeper understanding, we can see how the chapter is not just about theology, but about how we apply these ideas in daily practice. In the next segment, we will discover how this influences people's lives today. After exploring the theological depths, let us now see how the new interpretation of this chapter influences the mind and society. How do these ideas translate into psychological well-being and tangible social change? Hello! This chapter not only offers a renewed theological perspective, but also has a profound impact on people's mental health. By replacing fear with hope, it helps alleviate anxieties related to the end times. We see a reduction in stress and an improvement in quality of life when people begin to interpret the Last Judgment not as a terrifying fate, but as a new beginning. From a social perspective, this interpretation promotes greater community cohesion. It encourages dialogues about hope and renewal, which are crucial to facing contemporary global challenges. These activities not only strengthen community ties, but also instigate collective action towards sustainability and resilience, reflecting the chapter's message of renewal. So by changing the interpretation of ancient texts, we can also change behaviors and attitudes. This chapter doesn't just change beliefs. It mobilizes individuals and communities to build a more hopeful future. In the next and final segment, we'll look at how you can take these ideas further by applying them to your own life and sharing them with others. We have reached the end of our journey together today, but this is just the beginning of a new way of living and understanding the world around us. Now, I invite you to take these ideas forward. Consider how the message of this chapter might impact your life. It's not just about understanding an ancient text. It's about allowing those words to inspire action and personal change. Why not start a study group or book club to explore this chapter more deeply? Or perhaps, organize a community event that reflects the themes of renewal and hope we discussed. And don't forget to share your discoveries and experiences. Whether through social media, conversations with friends, or even blogs, your voice can inspire others to explore and turn their own fears into sources of hope. And finally, if this video touched your heart in any way, please share it. Together, we can spread a wave of positivity and transformation that can truly change the world. Thank you for being with us on this journey of discovery and reflection. Remember, every small step toward change contributes to a brighter, more hopeful future. To the next.